Loads of people are like, oh, I bet you're so annoyed and frustrated being disabled. And yeah, it was not ever a career choice. But if I hadn't been, and we're quite settled with the fact that I am, we've got to get on with it, I would never have had this opportunity, and I would never have joined a community of such talented people. So I wouldn't change it. I really, really wouldn't. I'd love none of the complicating factors. They're not fun. But the fact that it's opened so many doors, and I've been able to work with so many amazing people, that I'm fine with that. I grew up in a family where my grandma always sewed, mum always did. And if you had a special event you were going to, you always had a homemade outfit. But being 5'11", I needed to be able to sew anyway because I couldn't find this. I grew up at a time where we didn't have tall ranges or petite ranges or curvy ranges, so I had to be able to make my own clothes, and so yeah, I've always had an interest in sewing. It's always something I've known and done. "15 years ago, I was a new mum. I had a 6-month-old baby. I picked him out with a playpen and managed to herniate a disc onto my spinal column. And the surgery to repair that injury actually went wrong. And I spent just under 9 months in James Cook Hospital and came out in a wheelchair. So literally 5 seconds changed my life forever. So yeah, a bit traumatic, and it took a bit of getting used to and adjusting to. But I had worked on the wards as a care assistant before, so I understood quite a bit about recovery and hospital and worked with stroke patients. I just never imagined that I'd be on the other side of the uniform. And I'm not the best patient because I don't like it that much. I'd rather be the nurse than the patient. So yeah, that changed things dramatically. I think the first few years, you're constantly told you're disabled now, so you can't do it, or this opportunity isn't open to you, or you look at job adverts and you think, it's not possible for me to do that anymore. And I fell into that mindset for quite a long time, but probably around the 10-year mark, I sort of got to the point where it's like, I can do this. I can actually still be useful. So I started making cards. Then that progressed into doing like wedding cakes and sugar art. And for medical reason, I had to stop that because I was having seizures, so my hands weren't working. And then I'm peg fed, and you get lots and lots of skin problems with that. So I decided to start making my own skin protectors. And it sort of went from there because I understood that if they were benefiting me, then there's like 180,000 people out there who are also peg fed and use medical devices, and they will all have the same problems, and the NHS doesn't have a solution to these problems. We've got to find our own. And that was sort of the thinking behind Seated, was to be able to help the disabled community in some way and be able to give back, so their journey was a little bit more comfortable than the NHS would let us have. When you're disabled, it's very, very difficult applying for jobs, because I know not all disabled people have unstable health, but I particularly have unstable health. And so to go to an employer and say, I'd love to give you my all and work, but I might actually be going in for major surgery, need 3 months. And I've had years where I've had 2 major surgeries. Well, that would be 6 months of recovery. And there's no no company out there that would let you have that sort of flexibility. And so the idea of being able to work for myself, I can say when I'm well enough to work. I can put a hold on when I know I'm not going to be well enough and I need to recoup. And that sort of gave me the flexibility that I needed. And also let me use my talents, because I was getting frustrated that I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, working for myself, it seemed a good idea. It's very daunting. and it's not the easy, quick answer that I thought it was going to be, but it works. It works for us. Loads of people are like, oh, I bet you're so annoyed and frustrated being disabled. And yeah, it was not ever a career choice. But if I hadn't been, and we're quite settled with the fact that I am, we've got to get on with it, I would never have had this opportunity, and I would never have joined a community of such talented people. So I wouldn't change it. I really, really wouldn't. I'd love none of the complicating factors. They're not fun. But the fact that it's opened so many doors, and I've been able to work with so many amazing people, that I'm fine with that. So all of the products that we make have been made for a reason, and we use in our family. So my son is autistic and has ADHD, and he responds really well to weighted blankets. So I've made them for him for a long time. And then I'm in quite a few chats, Facebook forums with other parents. So they started asking if I could make for them. So that's where we've sort of honed that from. The peg protectors I use every day with my feeding tubes and catheters. And then a new product we've just recently added, we call the Pamper Patient Pack. And I've been in and out of hospital so many times that I have a go bag ready, and it has everything that I need for a comfortable night's sleep. And what I was finding was I was constantly giving bits of my go bag away to people who were coming into hospital and didn't know what they needed. So we've put a pack together that contains everything you need for a comfortable night in hospital. It's made out of lovely Liberty fabrics. It's really soft, it's really stylish. So we can either send that to you pre-surgery, but what's been really useful is with COVID, people can't visit loved ones in hospital, and there's that disconnect. So we've been asked to send them onto hospital wards for patients, just as we're thinking of you, get well soon sort of gift. So they've been really popular in recent months because it's got everything you need, and you can lie in your bed and look really stylish and not ill. So I didn't realize that I was in the adaptive fashion world, because I've always been amending my clothes to fit. If I was making a pattern, I'd hack it so that it was disabled friendly. So adaptive fashion is clothing that people wear due to disabilities. They may need to access ports, they may be in a wheelchair, so they're sitting all the time. Or even if someone's broken their arm or their leg, they need help with trousers and more accessibility. So that's what adaptive fashion is. It's fashion that is centered around a disability, and yeah, it makes it more useful and more comfortable to wear. And inclusive design is basically design that is for anybody and everybody, because just because it's an adaptive design or made by an adaptive designer doesn't mean that it's just for that niche. Anyone can wear our clothes. Especially I found the trousers, because lots of people are working from home now and you sat all day. So adaptive trousers are great because they're higher at the back, they're lower at the front, and they're designed to sit in all day. So yeah, anyone can benefit from those. I thought it was really important. I mean, the products, the weighted blankets and the hampers, anyone can buy them. You don't have to have a disability. But what we wanted to do, and the role of Seated really, is to make, we've had quite a rocky journey through disability. And my idea was that we make the next person's just a little bit easier. And so that's why we sort of concentrated on the disabled community and reaching out to them, just to make every day a little less of a fight, and you can concentrate on being you and living. So that's what we hope Seated brings to people, really. The first exciting thing when we set Seated up was when a stranger bought from us, because up until then it had been like friends and family and extended acquaintances. But when we actually got the first order from someone that didn't live near us and didn't know us, it was like, this is real. So that was really good. And then in October, I was invited to be part of the world's first adaptive department store, which we ran down at a pop-up in Oxford Street, which was amazing and mind-blowing. So Victoria Jenkins from Unhidden had been running this pop-up for 3 months, and it was her last day. So she invited 10 other adaptive designers down, and we covered a range of things. There was people doing underwear and shoes and joggers, but all of them were adaptive designers. And just to be in that space with everybody was amazing and such a privilege. To the point where we're going down next month, for London Fashion Week, and we'll be supporting Victoria. And yeah, it's exciting. There's lots and lots happening in the sector, and it's an exciting time to be part of it. It's massive. I think everyone, and rightly so, gets channeled into their ideal client, and you need that, but you've also got to have breadth within your business. And I think what people don't realise is there is this spending power of the disabled community. It's classed as the purple pound, and that community has an estimated £200 million a month of spending power. And I don't know any small business who wouldn't benefit from tapping into that. That's a huge area that you're missing out on. And so I really want to get across that simple things to make you more accessible, checking that your doorways are wide enough for wheelchairs. That not only wheelchairs benefit, it means your delivery driver is going to have an easier, or a mum with a pushchair. How your website reads with your colours, that's not just going to benefit someone with low sight, but it's going to benefit everybody, because it'll make it more accessible and readable. And we just need to make those first steps to be a little bit more accessible, and stop and think, what can I do to make us a little bit more accessible? I think accessibility, unless you've had someone that is disabled or old, it never crosses your mind. But I think we've also got to get across that owning a ramp does not make you accessible. I went to an event the other week, they had a ramp, fantastic, but they had it on stairs that were the wrong gradient, so my chair couldn't go up. So just having accessible equipment does not automatically make you accessible. You've got to know how to use it. You've got to be putting the work in. And it's not hard work, but unless you talk to the disabled community and involve us in conversations, you don't actually know what we need, and you don't know how we can make it better. And we want people to be honest with us as well. If there is a reason you can't be accessible, just say to us. you know what, we are a historic building, we've done all of the checks and we can't. There is no excuse in 2022 for not being accessible, and not knowing isn't an excuse anymore. Not knowing what you need to do and what you need to change, it's not, and you're losing business, you're losing people because they can see you just can't be bothered with making any change for them and making any compensation. So yeah, be honest with us, come and talk to us, come and ask us, and show willing. I'd say everyone needs to check their business. And I think there needs to be one person within that business who has the power to make a change, and has the power to take ownership of accessibility and champion it. Because it's not just the disabled community. If you think you make your premises, for example, more accessible, your delivery driver is going to benefit, the mum with a pushchair is going to benefit, someone that's blind is going to benefit. So all of a sudden, it's everybody that's benefiting. And this is the thing with inclusive design. Good inclusive design involves and benefits everybody. And if you do it at the beginning and it isn't a tag along, it's not going to cost you the money that you imagine. You're not going to have these scary figures because you've included it from day one. And it's part of your brief and you get it right from day one. It's when you've ignored it and then it's brought to your attention, you have to tag on and tag on and tag on. All of a sudden, your costs are going to skyrocket. And it's going to be expensive. Please take it seriously and please don't overlook us, because sadly, a quarter of people at some point will end up disabled. So if you're in a room with 4 people, look at the other 3 and just decide which one of it you want it to be. And that doesn't have to be that's permanent disability. That doesn't include people that are in car crashes or people that fall and break something. So we're talking about a huge amount of people. So talk about it, take ownership and be honest. Be honest about what it is you need, and please come and talk to us. We, as a community, we want people to talk to us. We're not frightened to talk about disability. Disability isn't a bad word. I know it's been bandied about recently, but it really isn't as scary a word as people have made out. And it benefits everybody. So small changes aren't just going to be for one community. Everybody, look, for example, look at subtitles. Subtitles were designed for those that were really struggling to hear. How many of you watch YouTube channels or TV with subtitles on? Pretty much everybody uses subtitles. Who uses electric toothbrushes? They were designed for people with very little movement in their hands. That's grown and everyone has an electric toothbrush. So think outside the box. You might have an idea you think would be great for the disabled community, but actually, I bet you any money, everyone will be able to benefit from it.